Hey, I'm Holly, and we're starting to wind down our series For the Win, where we're looking at different wisdom passages from the book of Proverbs that help show us how to win in life. Okay, don't answer this out loud, but think about your answer in your head. What is it that you wish you had more of? Do you wish you had more clothes? Do you wish you had more shoes? How about video games? Now, let me ask you this. What do you wish you could upgrade? Your phone? A better or bigger house? A nicer car? A better TV in your bedroom? What do you wish you had more of, and what do you wish you could upgrade are easy questions for us to answer. We all wish we had more of something, and we all wish we could upgrade what we currently have. We can't help it. Inside every single one of us is the desire for more. It's why we're always asking for more. I mean, think about it. When your parents asked you this last year what you wanted for your birthday, how many of you replied, you know what? I'm good this year. I don't need anything. Or how many of you told your parents at Christmas, look, I know in the past you've always given me gifts, but I really think I've reached my gift limit. None of us said that. Because when it comes to having more, we never hear anyone saying, I'm good. It actually seems the opposite. It actually seems like the more we have, the more we want. Maybe you hear this and you think like, so what? Who cares? Is it really even a problem to want more stuff? I mean, there are way worse things in the world. It can't be that wrong to want more, can it? And the truth is, no, it's not wrong to want more, if that was all we're talking about. But wanting more tends to have two major side effects: dissatisfaction and ungratefulness. Take my cell phone, for example. I remember when the very first iPhone came out. I absolutely had to have it. I was one of those people who stood in line for hours to get that iPhone. And believe it or not, there have been many, many iPhones since that very first iPhone 3, and I have had every single one of those phones. Now, if you were to take that very first iPhone and compare it to the iPhone I have now, there wouldn't be a huge difference. And that's just because, like most people, I have the desire for more. I have the desire to upgrade, even though it really doesn't benefit me that much, even though it costs me a lot of money. I end up feeling dissatisfied with my phone as soon as the next one comes out. I mean, do any of you know what I'm talking about? Have you felt this before? Wanting more can lead to serious dissatisfaction and ungratefulness because having more stuff can never deliver on its promise to satisfy us or make us happy. It's like chasing something that we're never, ever gonna catch. How many of you can even remember everything you got for Christmas last year? 2 years ago, or 3 years ago? My guess is very few of us can. But I bet all of us put time, energy, and emotion in trying to get whatever it was we wanted, and now we can't even remember what it was. That's because whatever it was, it didn't satisfy us. Or maybe it did for a while, a few days, weeks, maybe even months. But it doesn't take long before our satisfaction starts to disappear, and all we can think about is what we don't have. There's dissatisfaction, but there's also ungratefulness. When we are so focused on wanting more, we stop looking at what we have with appreciation. Maybe we loved that cool iPod Touch we got for our birthdays a couple of years ago, and at the time, we thought it was the greatest gift ever. But now it's 2 years old, the screen is scratched, our best friend has like a really sweet blue one, and suddenly, what was once our prized possession is now a piece of junk. How many of you want to be dissatisfied and ungrateful? How many of you like dissatisfied and ungrateful people? I mean, none of us. So how do we make sure we don't experience those negative side effects of having and wanting more stuff? How do we leverage our desire for more so that it actually benefits us? King Solomon was a man who had a lot of stuff. He may have been the richest man who ever lived. He accumulated more stuff and had more upgrades than any of us could ever imagine. But he was also, the Bible tells us, the wisest man who ever lived. So he had a lot of experience with having stuff, but he also had a lot of experience with knowing how to deal wisely with his stuff. And here's what Solomon had to say about having stuff and wanting more. A generous man will prosper. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. Solomon tells us that there is a way for us to prosper. There is a way for us to go for the win when it comes to our stuff. It's important to understand that the word here for prosper, it doesn't mean rich. It actually means to be full, or satisfied, or even fat. Okay, so what does that even mean? Here's what Solomon's saying. There's a way for us to be fat, to be full of, to be satisfied, to not give in to our desire for more over and over and over. So how do we feel satisfied rather than feeling dissatisfied and ungrateful? Solomon says we feel satisfied not by getting more, but by giving more. Solomon tells us that it's the generous man or woman who will prosper, who will beat the desire for more and the side effects of dissatisfaction and ungratefulness. A generous person is someone who looks at what they have not as a means to make them happy, but as a means to make other people happy. In other words, according to the wisest king ever, when you're generous, when you give things away, you end up feeling more full. You may be emptied yourself, but you will find yourself being full. You know, we tend to believe if we give things away, we have less for us. But Solomon says it's the exact opposite. The more you give, the more you have. He says we are full. Let's think about what we might be full of. Giving fills us with more happiness, more influence, more joy, more purpose, and my guess is that you will even have more friends. The more generous you are, then the more generous you become. Generous people get a taste for generosity, and they like it. Solomon finishes the verse this way. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. In other words, you know what the side effect of generosity is? Refreshment. Have you ever been refreshed, like really refreshed? Maybe it was after a hard practice or a tough race or an intense game where you exerted a ton of energy. And in that moment, you're dying for ice cold water or Gatorade. There's something so satisfying when you get that drink. The moment it touches your lips, it's like a relief. It literally feels life-giving. And Solomon says that this is the type of life you get when you refresh others with your generosity. Generosity gets you what only wanting for yourself never will. You know, we imagine being happier if we have more. However, this scripture tells us that we will be refreshed if we give more. We will be happier, satisfied, refreshed, and we will prosper only if we learn to give more away. Maybe you're thinking, so how can I be more generous? I'm in middle school. I don't even have a job. That's a great question. But being generous, it's about more than just money. It's about your time, energy, emotions, and your belief in others. Since it's about more than money, we all, even middle schoolers, have something to be generous with. So then, I want to give you a couple of ways you can be generous. I'm going to talk briefly about it and then let you unpack it later. Start by giving from your excess. Think about what you have when it relates to time, energy, emotions, and money. Do you have any extra? Once you see your extra, look around and see who needs it. What if you were generous with your excess time and you decided to volunteer once a month or once a week somewhere? What if you were generous with your excess stuff? How many pairs of jeans do you have? Think about what you could part with. Some shoes, some shirts. What if you donated some excess to a local shelter or Goodwill? The point is, we have excess. What if we stopped holding on to it and started being more generous with it? What if you took the money from your allowance or from babysitting or mowing lawns in the neighborhood and you decided the first thing you would do with your money would be to be generous? What if your first thought was not, what can I get with this, but what could I give with this? How could you refresh someone else's life? Generosity is about a spirit of giving in every way, and all of us can learn to do that. Learn to be generous, and Solomon says you will live a life of constant refreshment. Solomon says you will prosper, that you will be full and satisfied. Who wouldn't want that? Being generous, it leads to satisfaction, and giving is more refreshing than getting.